Hi, I'm Rich with insideHPC. We're here in Reims, France at the Lab 14 conference, and I'm here with Brent Gorda from Intel. Brent, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Rich?
Great, great. You know, I wanted to ask you about what's going on with Intel as far as Lustre and bringing it to the enterprise. I mean, what are you guys up to there?
So a year ago, we announced the Intel Enterprise Edition for Lustre, which is Intel's release with a whole bunch of value add. So for example, we've got a Hadoop coupler, we've got the Hadoop integrated with Slurm, and we're working on other schedulers there. The real piece that's adding significant value is the Intel Manager for Lustre. And get this, Lustre's going from a research project where you need a propeller on your hat to be able to use it to a one-button install on your favorite hardware. So the Intel Manager for Lustre is the only cross-platform management tool deeply integrated with Lustre. It's built by the guys that bring you Lustre, and deeply integrated below with the hardware so that you can do the one-button install, so you can do the debugging, so you can see what's going on in your file system. So that release started about a year ago. It's maturing now, looking really, really good. At SC, we'll have a demo. You'll be able to see the new interface, really sexy. We've got some great UI guys that are making that stuff look crisp. It's really great.
Okay. So if I was a business guy, I mean, Lustre is created for, supercomputers, national labs. Why should I care about what you guys are up to with this esoteric open source thing? What?
Well, you should care because you have a big data problem and you're trying to move data to compute. HPC has always been about balanced architecture, and more we're finding people are realizing that the bottleneck is to the actual disk storage. So let me give you an example. In the past month, we wired up a customer that was an NFS customer, and they turned around and gave us huge glowing reviews that they're now running 100 times faster just by swapping out the old NFS file system. Now, many businesses out there, they hit the top of an NFS file system and they go buy a second one. Now you've got half your files on one system, half on the other. You need to remember where they are, and you can't combine the performance of the two. You peak out at maybe a gigabyte a second, where Lustre can go all the way up to a terabyte a second in the most extreme cases. You said earlier Lustre's the world's fastest file system. Much like the world's fastest car, you only get there if you're efficient across the board, which means you scale down as well as scaling up. So simplify it. If you're a business using a network filer and you're thinking about adding a second one, you should think about looking at Lustre, because we can give you the aggregate storage capacity and the aggregate performance of that hardware.
Okay, so the story there is about performance, but what are you guys doing to make it more amenable to business requirements?
Well, we're adding a whole bunch of features there as well, enterprise class features. The first one that came out almost a year ago now is the HSM feature that the CEA originally authored. We put in a huge amount of effort with them to get that up and running and coming out in the Open Tree first, and then in Intel Lustre with what we're releasing now. That will be deeply integrated with the Intel Manager for Lustre, so you can set all of your policies graphically and all that sort of thing. It's just the first of many features that we're working on and bringing out with our release.
Well, you've been in this space for a long time, working with Lustre and high-performance computing. Is it exciting for you to see these worlds coming together?
Yeah, it's incredibly exciting. You go into a big data type environment and you tell people, well, the technology we work on can move data at a terabyte a second, and it blows their hat off their head, right? They're thinking a gigabyte a second or 10 gig a second. The HPC technologies are so incredibly powerful and so efficient that it's really turning heads in the business world.